We're talking about if you got the odor of dog smell on you. You know what I'm saying? What if you ask them, is today Monday? Oh, no, you can't say that word. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't call the calendar Monday. We call it with the day of his family member's name.
Right.
That's hard, bro. You got to know some very, very unthought information. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Ooh.
They don't want us up there?
No.
Number 10, Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia goes on this list at number 10 because things are changing. Things are changing in a big way.
Okay.
In the past, it was really hard to get a visa unless you were there on a religious pilgrimage to Mecca or something like that. And they've had all kinds of changes, especially when it comes to the treatment of women. The reason I say Americans aren't welcome is because we have a lot of things that we think are normal that they're not too keen on. A lot of it is if you're respectable to their customs, you'll probably be a little more welcome. But like one thing, don't point your finger at things. They have a problem with pointing your finger. Use your chin instead to point places. Always remove your shoes when you enter someone's house. This is, it's kind of an American custom sometimes. Not everyone is into it. I mean, I've had people come over to my house, take off their shoes as they enter. It's not a thing at my house, but I do know other Americans like that. It's just very much a thing in Saudi Arabia. Keep that in mind. You don't want to use your left hand too often. They have a problem with that. And do not show any public display of affection. Don't be kissing on your wife. Don't be too much hugging, things like that. They also don't like it when you take pictures without asking permission of them. Like if someone's walking by and you don't ask them if you could take a picture and you just do, that's a problem. Here in the United States, if you're in public, you have no right to privacy. I can take a picture of anyone I want. I walk outside. They might consider it rude. It's not illegal. It's not just the people. Don't be taking pictures of government buildings without permission, private property, military bases, especially female. But if you're visiting Saudi Arabia, make sure you dress modestly. So Daisy Dukes and leggings aren't going to cut it in Saudi Arabia for women. I mean, shorts on men.
Look, hey, they going to have places around the world that they don't want us, I'm talking about people in America, to be in general. But there's even tables that we can't even go sit to because we're going to voice our opinion on things that they don't find, they don't want to take accountability for. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with that. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to say what I'm going to be myself. 100%.
We're going to be ourselves right here up in the USA.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too.
Right.
Cause like, what if we did go in a country near
Respecting elders is another thing that they really, really focus on in Saudi Arabia, so that's something to keep in mind too. These are all things a lot of Americans have kind of ignored, and they've gotten into sticky situations over the years, and it kind of gives us a reputation. Number 9, Russia. I mean, we've always had strained relations with Russia since the Cold War. Actually, before the Cold War and World War II. We didn't like each other before World War II, but we got together because the enemy of my enemy is my friend type theory. But if Americans do want to visit Russia, there's a lot of hoops you got to go through just to get granted a visa. And now with us helping Ukraine during the Ukraine war, it's made things a little more strained. They suggest you don't visit Russia right now. The Russian government definitely doesn't like you, and a lot of the people are kind of on board with the Russian government. I had a long conversation with a guy that's from Russia, and he was saying that a lot of Russians believe all the propaganda. I guess that's true with every country.
Okay.
Cuba, not Cuba.
Number 8, Cuba. Yeah, nobody should be going to Cuba. It might be a great tropical paradise, but we've had an embargo on them for so long. That includes Americans are forbidden to go to Cuba. And that's despite the fact we have a military base on the island of Cuba. It's actually considered part of the United States, not part of Cuba. But the United States has had a ban on Cuba in both business and the people traveling there since 1958. Some people do go up to Canada and fly there from Canada and, other countries, Americans do this, but it's not advised to go there because if you do get arrested in Cuba, you're getting zero help from the United States government. Now, there are 12 different categories that could get you on the island of Cuba from the United States. A lot of it has to do with education and things like that. But if you do make it there, you better bring some kind of cash that is transferable in Cuba because you can't transfer your American dollars there. I had a comedian friend named Ron Morey back, I don't know, early 2000s, and he was going to do a USO thing at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. There's a bunch of Marines there. So he's all, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get some Cuban cigars. I'm all, no, you're not. You can't get off the base into Cuba. He's all, well, I'm not in the military. I can get off the base. I'm all, you can't. And he goes, oh, I bet I do. And I saw him like 3 weeks later. He's all, hey, you were right. They wouldn't let me near the fence. So yeah, Americans aren't supposed to go there, and Americans aren't welcome there. And if you run into problems, you're on your own. Number 7, Iraq. Sure, we had a big war there, and the place is still a mess. It's getting better, but most of the people there and their government really are kind of hostile towards Americans. U.S. government warns about going there, and they specifically say the locals really don't like you, and the government doesn't like you, and there are still different elements that are perfectly willing to kill you. You can fill out a visa form and all that, and they give you no reason. Sometimes they just deny it. They tell you no.
Straight up. Just like that.
No time.
Number 6, Yemen. The Republic of Yemen is another Asian country that Americans shouldn't be going to. If your friend tells you he's going to go to Yemen, have his medication checked. Seek professional help. Currently, the United States government has imposed a strict advisory against traveling to Yemen, citing their ongoing civil war, terrorism, serious corruption, and foreigners often find themselves kidnapped. It's gotten so bad there, in 2015, the United States government shut down their embassy and said you'll get no help if you're in trouble in Yemen. Since they don't have an embassy and they really won't have to worry about government, criminals are more inclined to kidnap you and demand a ransom when they know you don't have a government to back you up.
Yeah, I seen a movie where someone was trying to get back home with the embassy. It was so hard for them. Come to find out, the people he was talking to wasn't the real embassy. It was sad. It was crazy. It was a crazy movie.
No, I watched that movie. It was about a woman and her child. Her husband had took her back, but it wasn't.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It was somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah. She had to change her religion.
Yeah.
Yep.
They took everything from her. It was a very sad movie. It was a true story.
Yeah.
But why would we go anywhere that don't have an embassy? The U.S. embassy. Nope. No.
Place is dangerous, their government doesn't like you, the people don't like you, and there's criminals just roaming the streets. Now, when I say streets, I'm sure a lot of you, kind of imagine paved roads and stuff. They don't have much of that in Yemen. You got to get into the city to see some paved roads, and the paved roads aren't that good. By the way, it's not lost on me how I'm criticizing Americans for being ugly Americans, and I'm sitting here being an ugly American talking trash about these countries.
Number 5, Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Number 5, Venezuela. Yeah, this is another one that should be avoided at all costs. Venezuela is not like most of the other South American countries. Brazil, they've got a lot of criminals, but at least you might be treated okay by their government. There's an embassy there. Argentina's a great place to visit. Ecuador's wonderful. Venezuela is known for its corruption and its abuse of everyone's civil liberties, and is currently considered an authoritarian state. Different fact-finding missions have found that there are severe human rights violations and abuses in Venezuela. People disappear there all the time, and most people are under the impression that it's done by the government. And they also have political killings on a regular basis. The Venezuelan people aren't too keen on Americans, and their government sure as hell isn't. In 2019, the Department of State withdrew from the U.S. Embassy in Caracas. So if you get arrested there, you're not getting much help. And you don't have to do anything wrong to be arrested in Venezuela. You just have to be a foreigner.
Golly, boy, they hate us. It's getting hard to breathe.
And then we're not even on number 4 now.
Yo, there's a group of people who don't even know this information, bro, and they are claiming to be innocent, and they are, because they don't know, they don't know what's going on.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Well, we just on number 4. Oh, man.
Number 4, Afghanistan. You really don't have to be up on things in the news or foreign affairs to know that Afghanistan's really not a pleasant place to be these days. I'm sure Afghanistan has some wonderful people and great things to see, but you really shouldn't be visiting there. 1970s was really a turning point for them. They had a president in the
that ain't a call.
1970s that decided to turn it into a socialist republic. Ever since, Afghanistan has kind of been involved in what they call the Afghan conflict, and that has not much to do with the United States, I should say yet. In the 1980s, Russia decided they'd invade, and then, we had our little thing there till just recently. They are big on kidnapping, terrorist attacks, hostage taking, and I'm sure if word got around that an American was roaming around the town as a tourist, you would basically be hunted down and kidnapped. There is no formal tourism industry in Afghanistan, and there hasn't been for decades. U.S. Embassy in Kabul closed in 2021, resulting in an increased frequency of unlawful detentions.
Best of luck for real.
Number 3, Turkmenistan. Now, this one's one of my favorite ones. I've been reading up on this place for a while now, mainly because I saw a thing on John Oliver about this country. Oh, he did not put it in a good light. It's kind of crazy. Then that craziness was reinforced by watching Drew Binsky. Turkmenistan only lets 10,000 people in every single year. That's all the tourists they have. It's the 7th least visited country in the world. Their capital city, Ashgabat, is amazing. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's very staged, and it's, one of these government-controlled cities where people aren't allowed to do anything. And they have a long history of weird stuff. Their old dictator, they have a new dictator, their old dictator, passed laws that people couldn't own dogs, they didn't like the smell of dogs, only white cars could be on the road. This guy decided he didn't like the standard calendar, so he renamed all the months after family members. That became the official calendar of Turkmenistan. Now, what makes this unfriendly towards Americans, it's not the people. The people seem to be lovely and wonderful. The Drew Binsky video was great. The people talked to him. Everyone was nice. Thing is, you only have 3 or 4 days to spend in the country, and the whole time you have to have a private guide. That costs about $1,000. This is a typical post-Soviet Union country with dictators and giant statues. I mean, 20 stories high of old leaders and various historical figures. Scimitars and turbans seem to be a big thing with their statues. 90% of the country is employed by the government. So this is pretty much a government country. I mean, everyone's in the secret police or they work in some function of the government. They make it extremely hard to get into the country, and they watch you the whole time you're in the country.
All right, number 2. Hold on. Somalia. Oh. Hey, listen. All right. First of all, they let 10,000 people in. That's okay. I feel that. All right. You get a few days to stay. Pretty cool. I understand. But we talking about if you got on the wrong color shoes. We talking about if you got the odor of dog smell on you. You know what I'm saying? What if you ask them, is today Monday? Oh, no, you can't say that word. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't call the calendar Monday. We call it with the day of his family member's name.
Right.
That's hard, bro. You got to know some very, very unthought information.
It was beautiful, though. Just not for our eyes, I guess.
If you want to be a part of the 10,000, we can make it happen.
Child, please. Nope.
All right.
Number 2, Somalia. Somalia, like Afghanistan, you really don't have to be up on foreign affairs to know that this is not a place to go. Most Americans became familiar with Somalia when they had the whole Black Hawk Down situation. Somalia is found on the eastern edge of Africa, right beside Ethiopia and Kenya. If you look at their coastline, you'd probably think this would be a great place to put a resort. But most companies don't invest in resorts that are in countries where 70% of the population lives well below the poverty line. They have this thing called the Human Development Index. Somalia is the last one. This is how bad it is in Somalia right now for Americans. The U.S. government advises drafting a will and leaving behind DNA samples before entering the country, just so someday your family might figure out what happened to you. You know, when the U.S. government suggests you leave behind some DNA, they're pretty sure you're not coming back with a heartbeat. There's all kinds of different, studies and research and warnings, and one of my favorite was, it didn't say there's a chance of being kidnapped, it said you will eventually be kidnapped. They have terrorist attacks, hostage taking, high levels of crime, illegal roadblocks where they demand payment to pass their roadblock. What's incredible is 20 feet down the road, there's somebody else's roadblock. And don't be surprised if there's a 3rd, 4th, or 5th in a 1-mile stretch of roadway. And no, they don't tolerate Karens here, so you won't be talking to their manager. They'll just take you out in the desert a couple feet and push your off button. Right before.
Dang,
he hard, bro. He hard for that one. He said they're gonna take you to the desert and push your off button. God, he gonna cut the light switch off on you. Oh my lord. Ooh, okay. Yeah, it's getting hard to breathe up here. Number one. Who's number one?
I'm kind of speechless on. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Dang, I really am speechless. Like.
Interesting.
Because. Okay, so our Somalian supporters who live abroad, do you all travel home? And if you do, what are your experiences and
no one ever mentioned to give their DNA to live abroad ever. I didn't know that was a thing. We learn as we go though. I need some hair follicles.
You gotta take everything with a grain of salt, though.
You do gotta take everything with a grain of salt. But it's interesting to hear someone say something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so much more we don't know, y'all, but that's interesting to hear.
Interesting.
Okay.
Get to number one. Don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link for that down below. Also, while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and maybe a comment for this video. It really helps us. All right, on to number one. And number one, North Korea. This one's a no-brainer. You're not supposed to go to North Korea. You're not welcome in North Korea. We don't know how the public feels about you in North Korea because their government is so overbearing. They won't really let you talk to the folks. This is another country where if you did actually get into the country for some reason and are allowed to get in, you're going to have a guide with you the whole time. And that guide is also a propaganda officer. I watched an interview where they went in to say that their dictator is an expert shot and he's never missed a shot with a pistol or a rifle or a machine gun. Here's what I find incredible about that. I've fired quite a few different styles of machine gun. Right. The whole nature of the machine gun kinda is you miss a lot. North Korea is one of the few countries in the world that U.S. citizens are outright banned from visiting. According to the U.S. State Department, only very specific exceptions are made for even government officials to visit North Korea. Now, currently they have a travel ban. That might be lifted, who knows. It was lifted prior to, I guess, the Trump administration. Sometimes they lift the ban, whatever, but right now, you are banned from going there. And if you are there with the guide, you have to get approval for almost every single picture you take. I read one story about there was a German guy there and he tried to take a picture of the building. They made him delete it and then they put him to another area so he could get a better angle of the building. They weren't upset about him taking the picture. They just figured the lighting wasn't right and it made it look bad.
Okay.
Listen.
All right, so this is my comment. I'm going to say this for everybody. You got to have a real goal to be researching where you want to go around the world just to understand that you're not wanted there. You got to have a real goal there to want to be in a place like that. That's all I'm going to say.
Because why you going?
Yeah, because what's the purpose? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And again, I think it's real common sense for everybody to understand that you do have to take information with a grain of salt. It's something that I feel like we shouldn't have to say as we're doing these reactions.
Right.
But for the, the people in the back, like, like...
Do your research.
You got to do your research, man. Yeah. But I thought this was, really interesting.
It was interesting. Just so thankful that we have 50 states,
Hello. But again, you got to have a real goal on your list to want to be somewhere that don't want you there, bro.
That don't want you. Just because you was...
What did that piece of paper say for you to say, I got to pull up today because this is on my mind? Like, nah.
You got to be on a mission.
Got to be one. Got to be. All right.
I'm not on a mission.
Nope. Not for nothing like that.
Nuh-uh.
Not the real me.
Not the real me. No, because
not happening.
If we leave in the States to go visit, we're not leaving the States to go on a stressful vacation.
Bro, imagine you calling your people to tell them that you're going on vacation.
Right.
They ask you where you're going. You say a place that they don't want me there.
Right.
What you doing? Come on, bro. Time,
Listen.
bro. Ain't enough time in the world.
Nah.
But, interesting.
That's all I can say. This video made me so uncomfortable. Yeah. But baby, they ain't got to worry about me.
Nothing about you, baby.
Nah. All right, y'all. So y'all let us know your thoughts, all right? We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.